Hello there, everybody. This is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I am bringing you a process video, and I have used the August My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit to make this layout. I'm starting off by inking some tropical leaves, and I used a couple of different dyes to make these leaves. The largest leaves were made using an Impression Obsession dye, and there's no name to that dye, so I will put the information in the description box in case you're interested in locating that dye. I also used a set of Sizzix dyes called Natural Leaves and a Spellbinders set. Those are those smallest leaves that you see there. Those are called Tropical Paradise. I started by using a dauber and some distress oxides, and first I went around and I put down some peeled paint. Then I put another layer of color on there using mowed lawn. And finally, I'm putting some distress ink on the edge, and that's Vintage Photo. I want the leaves to have some different layers of color, and then I also want them to contrast with the background. So I thought that adding a little bit of brown to the edges would give them a little more character, and then also, like I said, help them stand out from the background. Now I'm using that same distress ink in Vintage Photo, and I'm going around the outside of all of the embellishments that I'm thinking I'm going to use on the page with the dauber. You can see here that I am inking not only the outside of this little film strip, but I'm also inking the inside as well. And I do the same thing for this larger frame. I ink the outside, and then I go around the inside. And then on this larger card here, I started by distressing the edges with my scissors. I just wanted that to be a little bit more grungy than the other pieces. So I kind of dig into the edges with the scissors, and here I'm pushing up the edges for a little bit more dimension and texture. And then I also use the Distress Oxide ink in Vintage Photo on this piece as well. This is the photo that I'm going to use. This is a photo of both of my daughters. We were on a ferry traveling from Martha's Vineyard back to Cape Cod. I'm using these little postcards that were in the ephemera pack in the kit, and I thought that these would look cute inside the film strip openings. So I'm cutting them in half, and there were 2 of them, so that was perfect. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use the ocean side or if I should use the side with the homes, but I finally decided that I was going to use the side of the card that had an image of the ocean. Just putting some ATG adhesive on the back of the film strip, and then I'm fitting the pieces in there. Now, in this photo, we were not at the beach, although we were at the beach during the day, but this is not a beach photo. But I just thought, since it was part of the whole Cape Cod vacation, that it would be fine to use this photo along with all these beach-themed items. So now that all of the embellishments are ready to go, I'm going to assemble my large cluster with my photo in it on this blue card. Now, I could attach everything right down to the pattern paper, but I like the option of being able to move everything around, and also to be able to add mixed media later on. It's so much easier if everything is attached to a cluster that can be removed from the pattern paper. So that's something that I like to do. So first I attach my photo down to some heavyweight cardstock, and that just helps to make it more sturdy. And then I popped it up using some fun foam. I attached that film strip with the postcards that I just made on a little bit of an angle to the left of the photo. And then these are chipboard words that say beach vibes, and I'm going to use that as my title. And like I said, it's definitely not a photo of the beach, but the whole vacation is a beach vibe vacation, so I thought that that would be perfect. I'm popping up some flowers on some foam so that they will be level and sit on top of the photo without being on an angle. And I used some dimensional flowers, and then I also used a chipboard flower and a flower from the die cut pack. There's a little sentiment on the right that says, "Need more vitamin C." And so I attach that to the right of the photo, and that's the pattern paper that I'm going to be using in the background. That's a 49 in market paper. I think it's just beautiful. Although I am not going to attach down the large center cluster yet, I am going to attach down the cluster that's on the lower right-hand corner because I don't think I'll be putting any mixed media there. I'm attaching these two little chipboard hearts. One is pink and one is blue, and I thought that would be cute. One heart for each of my daughters. I love these really tiny pink flowers, the bright pink color. I feel like when that color is added to the layout, that it just makes the whole layout look so much more vibrant and colorful, and I really like that addition. Then I was thinking that this film strip looks a little bit low, so I wanted to raise it up a little bit. And now I'm attaching down those flowers. I'm trying to put at least one flower of each color in each of the clusters. So I have a blue color and the light pink and that darker pink to the left of the photo, under the photo, and then in that cluster underneath on the right-hand corner. I use some gel glue to attach down the dimensional flowers. I'm running out of gel glue. I don't see it in the stores anymore. I like a glue that dries crystal clear and isn't shiny when it dries, so I really like this glue. I got some suggestions for some other glue, so I'll have to pick those up and try those out. I just tucked a bit of greenery behind that flower that's on the left-hand side of the layout, the pink one, and that's from one of the flower packs. I add a couple more of those to the layout as well, and I think that they go well with the leaves that I'm adding right now. So those are the leaves that I had colored earlier on, and I'm just tucking them mainly behind that cluster. Right now I'm just kind of figuring out where I want them. And then there are those smaller leaves that I'd also made earlier. Now I'm working on that cluster that's on the bottom. I thought that I attached that down to the layout earlier on, but I guess I didn't because I added a little piece of paper behind it so that I could mount the 3 flowers on it. So I'm guessing that I wanted to keep that one separate from the background so I could move it around as well. I added another leaf to the left-hand side of the layout. I thought that that leaf there kind of balanced everything out. And now I'm adding some twine to the tags. I did have to replace some of the twine because at first I thought I wanted it to be short. And then once I put the twine into the tags, I didn't like the look of the shorter ones. So I went back in and I added some more twine. Next, I'm going to be adding some self-adhesive pearls. I have some really small ones, so I add 2 of them to those 2 chipboard hearts that are under the photo. And then I add some pearls to the banners that are below the photo and to that little sentiment that's in the lower right-hand side. And then I look around the page for just a couple of places where I can add some very small pearls. I'm not going to go crazy with these pearls, but I just wanted to have a few scattered around the page. And some of these pearls are so tiny that I can barely manipulate them with my fingers. I have to use the scissors to get them in the right spot. I decided to add this blue flower up on top here. That gives me a kind of a 4th cluster. I add the date on the right-hand side. And this is where I add in a few more of those leaves that were included in the packs of flowers. And I tried to spread those around the layout so that they look balanced. And then I glued them down to that large cluster, and I take both of the clusters off the paper, and I decided that I wanted to have this craft paper in the background and then have a distressed edge on the main piece of pattern paper. So I'm just using my scissors, cutting a little bit of a crooked line around the outside. And now I'm using my scissors and roughing up the edges all the way around the pattern paper. Then I take some distress ink, again the vintage photo, and I apply that to all 4 edges of the pattern paper. And then I was thinking that this really didn't have the level of distress that I wanted, so I am now bending up and just kind of roughing up the edges a little bit more, or a lot more, I guess I could say. I really wanted this to be really distressed. So now that I have distressed the edges even more, I'm just using some ATG adhesive, and I'm going to attach the pattern paper down to the craft paper. I don't often think to use craft paper. It might have been the twine on the layout that made me think to use it, because the twine and the craft paper are the same color, and I usually, not always, but I usually don't like to have any one color only in one spot on the layout. So I like the way that the color was in the cluster, and it was also in the background as well. I wanted to add some texture to the background, so I'm going to be using some modeling paste, and I realized that I had some stencil paint. I like stencil paint because it's nice and thick. I thought I had run out of it, but I found some left, although it was mostly dried up. So I used whatever paint was still wet in that little jar, and that's the end of that jar of stencil paint. I wanted the pattern of the modeling paste to be rather small, so I used this small circle. This is a Tim Holtz stencil. And because I can move that large cluster around the page, I am able to put down some modeling paste and then put the cluster over the top and see if I like it. And I didn't include all of the footage of me doing that, but I do that several times just to make sure that I like where the modeling paste is, and if I have to add any more, I can just add some more. So now I'm ready to attach the cluster down. I have dried all the modeling paste that's on the background. I added a whole lot of ATG adhesive to the back of the large cluster, and I'm just trying to get it in just the right spot, attaching down that little cluster finally now. And now I want to add a little bit of sparkle to the layout. So I take some of this Bow Bunny glitter paste. The color is called Sugar. It's just a transparent glitter paste. There's no color in it. And I'm brushing that on the flowers that are on the layout. I'm brushing them on all the flowers, the dimensional ones, the chipboard ones, and the ones that are die cuts. And I love the way this Bow Bunny glitter paste dries really fast and adds a lot of nice sparkle and shine. I also decided that I was going to put some of this paste on those green leaves that were, as I had said earlier, part of the flower packs. I usually put a couple of coats on each of the items on the layout that I'm going to coat with it, and I'm just making sure that I have all the layers of that flower coated. And now I'm adding some colored pearls to the background. First, I put on some blue pearls. Those are the largest ones, and I put those closest to the photo in most cases. And then I added some medium pink pearls. And then I added some small green pearls. And I didn't include footage of me gluing them down, but I used some Aleene's glue to glue those down because I was just running out of my gel glue. So I used that instead. Then I used a piece of plastic to protect the photo, and I splattered some white acrylic paint, which has been watered down a little bit. And I love white splatters on the layouts. I found this seagull in the kit, and I thought this would be a nice addition over the photo. So like everything else on the layout, I inked the edges, and then I popped it up on some foam and attached it down. And now I'm adding some more white splatters. Once the splatters dry, they're not always as noticeable as they are when they're first applied, so sometimes I will put them on more than once. And then the twine on that third tag just wasn't long enough for me, so I decided that I was going to make that a little longer as well. And that is the very last touch on this layout. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. I really hope that you liked it. If you did, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. Please take a look in the description box. You will find the link to the My Creative Scrapbook website, where you can pick up the limited edition kit and lots of other beautiful kits. I hope you got some ideas for your own scrapbooking, and I'll be back with another video very soon. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.